Hey, what's up guys? In today's video we're going to teach you potentially the most crucial skill that you can learn on your mountain bike. Today we're going to go back to basics on how to bunny hop. Let's go. So when I say bunny hop, what I mean is the, I guess, more conventional style of hop where you lift your front wheel first and then spring off the back wheel to get both of your wheels in the air at the same time. This is not to be confused with the two-wheel hop, or what I sometimes refer to as a bitch hop, which is both wheels coming up off the ground at the same time. Those aren't really something that you want to be using too much on the trail, especially if you're on flat pedals, as they're just not gonna give you quite the same scope to go high off the ground. Also makes it a little bit harder to time things. If you're just hopping both wheels, much easier to learn it the proper way, the bunny hop, which will let you get much higher and yeah, just generally improve your performance on the mountain bike. The bunny hop can be useful for a range of different applications on the trail, as well as just for having fun and showing off, of course. But certainly you're going to want to learn how to bunny hop so that you can clear drainage ditches, hop over rocks and roots on the trail, as well as it does help you boost off of flatter takeoffs. If you learn how to bunny hop properly at speed, you can use flatter takeoffs to really pop and use the bunny hop to get yourself nice and in the air and not only increase your height, but also your distance. So it definitely pays to work on your bunny hops to get them dialed in so you can really improve your performance across the spectrum. To learn how to bunny hop, you're going to want to find a nice piece of flat ground, whether it be hard grass or a nice flat bit of dirt like we've got here. This will just ensure that you're able to get nice repeatable results. It makes it easier to yeah, just keep on feeling the same every time you go and try, so you can really just focus on your technique. I'd also recommend, if you've got a mountain bike, just go and grab it. It's good to learn on the kind of thing that you'll be riding. Unlike the manual, it doesn't really change that much. The weight of your bike will influence it, so it's probably not best if you have a mountain bike and an e-bike to pull out your e-bike to learn on. But even still, you can absolutely bunny hop an e-bike just fine, and it will really work on your strength and technique if you do it that way too. So don't be afraid to take out whatever bike you have to get learning. I'd also highly recommend learning with flat pedals. That's not because it makes it easier. If anything, it does technically make it a little bit harder to learn, but it'll ensure that you have the proper technique. If you ride clipless pedals, then there's a good chance you'll rely on those clips to pull up the rear end of the bike. And while that is absolutely something that you can do, it's not the proper way. And if you ever do find yourself riding on flat pedals and you try and bunny hop as if you've learned on clips, your feet will come flying off and it's really not good. So I'd highly recommend focusing on getting the technique absolutely dialed and set of flat pedals before you take it onto your clips. Of course, you're going to want to make sure that you are nicely protected. If you do fall off from a bunny hop, then the ground below you is hard, and you're going to want to make sure you've got a good helmet on, a good set of knee pads, and also make sure that you're wearing appropriate footwear. It can definitely make the job a lot harder if you're riding a set of flat pedal shoes that don't grip onto the pedals properly. So get some nice grippy shoes like these Ride Concepts, and you'll find things a lot easier there. And of course, don't forget to drop your saddle as far down as it'll go to give yourself plenty of clearance to get those hops nice and high. I consider the bunny hop a move of two stages really. First, you've got the scoop, like I've just done there, where you're just trying to get the front wheel off the ground, transferring your body weight backwards on the bike, kind of sit into your feet a little bit, really load your legs and yeah, crouch down, ready to spring up and into the air. But first, you're going to really want to make sure that you're getting that front wheel nice and high off of the ground, just because the higher that you lift your front wheel, the higher your potential is to bunny hop. And it just makes it easier. If you don't get your front wheel high enough off the ground, then your ability to hop at all is going to be seriously limited. So make sure you're really getting that scoop motion good. You want to, yeah, drive your hands up and through the bars and lift that front wheel off the ground, and then start pulling the bars in towards you, because in the next step, which we'll get onto, you're going to be using those bent arms to push up and outwards to get yourself off the ground. While you're practicing this scoop motion, it's a good idea to keep that rear brake covered, just in case you overdo it and you end up falling off the back. Just be ready to give that brake a good squeeze if you feel like you're about to loop out. And also make sure you do have that helmet on so that if you do loop out, your head is protected. Now, let me just show you a few examples of that scoop that I'm meaning. And yeah, once we've worked on that, then we'll get on to the next stage where we're getting into the air. So then, are you getting those scoops good? Yeah? Well, now it's time to take the next step and get that bike into the air. So you can imagine After you've done that scoop motion, your bike's going to be up at this sort of an angle. I mean, if you're getting it really good, don't worry if you're only getting it a few inches off the ground. It's a good place to start, but certainly if you can work to get it, 6 to 12 inches off the ground at a minimum, then it's going to put you in a good place for the next bit. And then with your body weight, you're going to be kind of crouched in behind the bars with your knees bent on the pedals. And then you want to essentially push up and forwards on the bars at the same time as you spring with your legs and try and suck up the rear end of the bike. Now, while you're doing that, you want to keep your toes slightly dipped so that you can effectively scoop the pedals as well in a separate motion up and off the ground. Let me try and show you what I mean by that, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the specifics. Scoop, push. And with my feet, I'm essentially going from bent legs to using my toes dipped to pull up on the back of the bike at the same time as my front end is going up and pushing the bars up and away from me like that. And in these slow-mo clips, you'll see that's exactly what's happening. The front end and the back end of the bike are doing two independent jobs, but in unison to get that bike off of the ground. These hops are hard work, and you can't breathe hard while you're talking to the camera. So you just end up running out of oxygen and then take a breather. So you've tried to bunny hop how many times? 50, 100? If you're still not getting it quite right, then there's a couple of things that you might be doing wrong that I'm going to try and preempt and hopefully come up with some solutions with. Number one, like I mentioned earlier, your bunny hop is going to be limited by the amount you're able to get that front wheel off the air in that first scoop motion. So one thing you're going to want to do is just keep on working from your initial just slightly off the ground, which, I mean, you'll maybe get 3 inches off the ground at best. You want to keep on pushing that until you're getting that front wheel higher and higher, and then turning it into a hop. The second problem you might have is leaving your rear wheel behind. So you're going to want to really focus on making sure you get behind your bars and you push forwards with your arms, going up and over to get your front wheel off the ground. But also you want to make sure that you're putting plenty of strength through your legs while your front wheel's off the ground, and then you're jumping. Of course, if you are getting all of that right, but your feet are coming flying off the pedals up the way, then it's all going to be about how much you are scooping the pedals. Don't be tempted to put on your clips. Please do learn it the proper way. You're just going to want to really get your toes dipped down and pushing kind of backwards and upwards at the same time to scoop your back wheel off the ground, like so. Potential issue number 3 you might be having is landing really front wheel heavy. That can be up to a couple of different reasons, whether it just be where your weight is balanced fore and aft on the bike, but a lot of it is going to be to do with your timing of when you're hopping. So once you've lifted your front wheel, you want to be pushing forward and up on the bike and jumping with your rear end pretty much as soon as the front wheel gets to the highest point off of the ground. If you leave it until it starts falling, then all of your front end body weight is going to be getting pushed forwards and down. And that means that if you manage to get off the ground with your rear wheel, you're going to end up with that momentum taking you forward. It's probably why you're landing on that front wheel. So try and time it a little bit earlier so that as soon as your front wheel gets near or hits that apex, you're pushing up and forward and doing your hop. This is a problem one. This is how to do it right. Ish. Now it's time to take your bunny hops from the flat ground to getting over an obstacle like this rock that definitely wasn't placed in the trail by me. To start doing this, you're going to want to really focus on your timing. So I'd almost say it's worthwhile, instead of trying to go over an obstacle straight away, instead make a mark on the trail alongside it so that you can focus on getting your bunny hops timed correctly, not to hit that mark. And then you know that you're probably going to be clearing that rock too if you're going high enough. Your first step is going to be timing that scoop. So you're going to want to come in at like a fast jogging pace, enough speed so that in the time that you're in the air, you're going to get up and over that rock and get enough distance to get past it. That'll take a little bit of experimenting with. Obviously, the faster you go, the further you're going to travel with your bunny hops. But it is also slightly harder to get a high hop once you're going faster. I'm not exactly sure why that is. I guess it's to do with the inertia of your wheels and all of those effects, but certainly it isn't a faster is better situation. I'd focus on getting about a fast jogging, you know, a running speed really, before you start trying to go faster and faster with your hops. So let's stick a mark on the trail here and take a look at how we're going to time it. So we're going to come in fast jogging pace, and then we're looking for a spot about a bike length before that obstacle to start initiating your preload and your scoop. And that means that once you preload and scoop, your front wheel is going to be above your mark, you know, about there by the time you've rolled that far, and then it's time to initiate your hop. Let's see what that looks like. And then it's going to just be taking that scoop and then pop. Let's visualize that one more time. Scoop, pop. And as you can see, by the time that my front wheel is scooped and then I pop, about the midpoint of my hop, I'm at my highest point and getting over that rock plenty. Of course, start on small obstacles first and then really work up as you go, as you get more confident, as your hops get higher. And then in no time, you'll be hopping over rocks much bigger than that one. So now that you've learned how to bunny hop, it's time just to practice them, put it into action. In no time, we'll be hopping everywhere. I hope this video has been useful, guys. Give us a like if you've enjoyed it. Leave us a comment, let us know your top tips for how to bunny hop. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more Back to Basics episodes of how to ride your mountain bike even better in the future. Thanks for watching. Catch you out on the trails. Too many bunny hops. Ugh.